Hello, dear children. Let's continue with the fiction Five Children and It, Part 2 by Edith Nesbit. So, children, we know that there are 5 characters in the story. Now, I'll tell you what has happened in the story so far. We have Anthea, Jane, Cyril, Robert, and the baby called the lamb. We have Martha as the caretaker and mother. Now these children, they have come to countryside with their parents in their summer. And they feel very boring because father goes out for business and mother too has to go out. So these children one day decided to visit the gravel pit where they would make sandcastle. They would build sandcastle. But they encounter a strange creature. And it calls itself a Samid. It said that it is a sand fairy. And he also had his friends, but they all have died. Because they are very, very fragile and delicate. It told them that children like them used to make sand castles for them. But they also used to dug moths around the sandcastle and the nasty sea. It filled the moths with water and these creatures, they got wet. And as they were very fragile, they got cold. And so they died. We also know that so far from the story, this creature is little grumpy, gets irritated very soon. So, as it said that it's a sand fairy, Jane, the little girl, she made a wish. She wished to be very, very beautiful. So, let's find out whether Samid has granted the wish of Jane or not. Let's get started. Continuation. The Samid stretched out its eyes on their stalks and seemed to hold its breath and puffed itself out until it was twice its normal. So what happened till now? When she made a wish to be beautiful, the Samid, it stretched its eyes out and it seemed to hold its breath and it puffed itself like when you pump a football. What happens? A squeezed football, when you pump it, it starts getting puffed up. Similarly, Samid started getting puffed and it became twice its normal size and the children got worried. Anthea said, "I hope it doesn't hurt itself or crack its skin," Robert said anxiously. So these children were very much worried and nervous. Anxiously means nervously. They showed their worry. Now see, then the Samid suddenly let out its breath. And suddenly Samid, it let out its breath and collapsed down to its normal size. Collapsed means to fall. It fell to its normal size. "I hope that didn't hurt," said Anthea. So Anthea said, "I hope, Samid, it didn't hurt." "Just my whiskers." So Samid said, "It's just my whiskers that hurt. You are kind and thoughtful child." He observed her behavior and he said that you are very kind and thoughtful means very careful and caring. Quietly, it buried itself in the sand again. Without saying much, it went inside the sand, it buried itself in the sand again, and the children were surprised. The children looked at each other. Each of them was looking at three astonishingly beautiful faces, but what they saw when they looked at each other, they were already shocked that Samid, it buried itself. But when they looked at each other, the 4 children leaving lamb beside, these 4 children, they looked at 3 surprisingly beautiful faces. Astonishingly means beautiful. Surprising. Okay? Astonishingly means surprisingly. And they were shocked. It was like it was like looking at strangers. If it hadn't been their clothes, they wouldn't have known each other. So they were completely different faces. Now, these children, these siblings wouldn't have recognized each other had they not been wearing the same clothes. They were looking beautiful for sure, but they were not the same. Cyril, you look like a golden-haired angel, said Cynthia. So Cynthia, Jane, she said that, now you look like a golden-haired angel. That is, he looks so beautiful. She compared Cyril to an angel, golden-haired angel. Now, golden-haired here refers to, it is an adjective. It's not like you. I think I liked you and Robert better before. So she said that you don't look the same. I think I liked you the way you looked earlier. So similarly, children, if you think that whatever you look like now is not good and you want to become more beautiful, suppose you become more beautiful, but your faces change. Your friends will not recognize you. Your parents will not recognize you. And you two girls look like silly greeting cards, said Robert. So Robert said, but you two girls, that is Jane and Anthea, you look like silly greeting cards. Beautiful, but doesn't matter. Okay, so what happened? Let's go home. It must be dinner time. I'll carry the lamb, said Anthea. So Anthea said, let's go home. It must be dinner time and I'll carry the baby. Okay? So they started walking towards home. But before that, what happened? The baby who had woken up. So till now the lamb was sleeping. He had woken up, took one look at her and howled. Howled means cried loudly. So when he looked at Anthea, he cried loudly. Do you know why he cried loudly? Because he couldn't recognize her. The 4 children had changed. Their appearance, their looks had changed. The baby couldn't recognize them. He thought that he's amongst the strangers, and so he started crying loudly. When the children tried to pick him up, he only fought and kicked because the baby couldn't recognize them. He didn't want to go with them. It was an hour before the lamb would let them carry him home. And by that time, the lamb was as hungry as the lion and as thirsty as a desert. So, by the time he let them carry him, an hour had already passed. And he was as hungry as a lion and as thirsty as a desert. These two are the similes, dear children. Okay, we say as proud as a peacock, as light as a feather. So these all are simile which we'll be doing in the exercise. When they reached the house, Jane was almost falling under the lamb's weight. Jane had to carry the child now, the baby now, so she was falling under the weight, means it had become very heavy for her to carry. She was glad to hand him to Martha. So finally they reached home and she handed the baby to Martha, who was waiting for them at the door. Martha snatched him from her. And Martha, she snatched the baby. Can you think why she snatched the baby? Because she couldn't recognize them. Their appearance, their looks had changed. Who on earth are you? She demanded. She said, who are you? Why do you have the baby? What are you doing with our baby? So she thought that the baby, the lamb, was with strangers. She was very much shocked. We are us, said Robert. I'm Robert. Robert tried to convince Martha, the caretaker, that he was Robert. But useless. And I'm Cyril, said Cyril. Let us in. And Cyril said that he was Cyril to let them in. Please, we know we look different, but, began Anthea. So Anthea, she said that, please let us in. We know we look different. We don't look the same. See, Martha didn't recognize them. I don't know who you lot are. What you are up to? Snapped Martha. Snapped means, when do you snap? Snapped is a verb. It means get irritated. She got irritated and she said, I don't know who you lot are. You lot means you all are. And what you are up to here. But if our children put you up to this, they will be in trouble. Shoo! So she said, but I don't know who you are. But if our children have put you to do this, have sent you to do such a thing, then they will be in trouble. Right now you go away. Shoo! She shut the door in their faces, and she shut the door because for her, these 4 children were strangers. They were not the same Anthea, Jane, Robert, or Cyril. She didn't recognize them, so she quickly shut the door. The children banged at the door and rang the bell. Ting tong, ting tong, ting tong. But it was no good. They banged at the door and they rang the bell several times, but it was no good, means it didn't work. They were left outside. They wandered away down the lane. Wandered. Here, see children, this is a homophone, okay? W-O-N-D-E-R-E-D, wandered, and W-A-N-D-E-R-E-D, wandered. This is homophone, very close homophone. This wandered means to roam about. So they roamed about away down the lane. Lane means the passage, the road. Hungry, thirsty, and stunningly beautiful. So these children, as they had granted a wish, okay, they had got a wish granted by Psammead, and they had become very, very beautiful. But what's the use of that beauty? They were hungry. They were thirsty and all on their own in the street. Finally tired and nowhere to go, they sat down under a hedge. So finally they got a place for them to sit, and they were very, very tired. It will wear off at sunset, said Jane. Then we will look normal again. So Jane said it will wear off. Wear off means it will diminish. Okay, the magic that Psammead had done, the magic of the wish that was granted will wear off, will disappear, will faint at sunset. Then we shall look normal again. And we shall look normal. Then we can go home. Then huddled together for comfort, they fell asleep. So they huddled together, they came closer to each other, and they fell asleep. When Anthea awoke, the sun had set. So when the sun had set, Anthea awoke. It's all right, she cried. We are ordinary again. So she was very happy that they had come back to normal. They were looking like the same Jane, Anthea, Cyril, and Robert. So she was very happy. In happiness, she cried, it's all right. We are ordinary again. We can go back home. Where do you think you have been? Demanded Martha when they got home. We had some very strange children here this afternoon. Martha, she was actually angry and worried. She said, where have you been? And this afternoon, there were strange children here. They were horrible, said Anthea. So Anthea said they were horrible. Anthea knows that they were themselves. Those children were them only. But she said they were horrible. They stopped us from coming home until now. We only just got away and we are starving. So she said that they stopped us from coming home until now, and right now we somehow got away and we are starving. Starving means we are hungry. Well, don't you go near them again, said Martha, as cook brought in supper that looked and smelled delicious. So she said, don't ever go near to such children. That is, don't ever do such things again. And the cook, he brought in supper. Supper means the dinner, the food that looked and smelled delicious. We shall take care to never see them again, said Robert. And Robert said, we will take care, we shall take the care that we don't never see them again. We are ordinary again. We are normal again. And they never have. So children, this was the fiction. This was the interesting story about Samoyed. We shall meet in the class and I would be asking you questions on what you have watched. So watch the video properly, okay? Thank you so much.